Here's a tour of the 2012-2013 data reporting spreadsheet. We begin on the very leftmost tab of all the tabs below here. The leftmost tab is instructions. It has this nice little orange boundary around it. I think this is a good place to start the first time you use the data spreadsheet. This is a written summary of what I'm going to talk about in the detailed explanation of how to use the spreadsheet, but it's always good to refer to this when you get started. The rest of the spreadsheet is organized into two different kinds of tabs. The multicolored tabs here are reports. The bluish or grayish tabs here on the right, Class 1 through Class 6, are data. So these 6 tabs here contain information for each of up to 6 classes. Then these tabs refer to the data tabs. They read that information and manipulate it. Maybe they do sums or averages or whatever, and format it for printing out or for saving to PDF. So let's take a quick look. Step 1 says to go to the year-to-date summary, so let's look at that first. The year-to-date summary page here has some shaded cells and some white cells. The shaded cells are the ones that you want to fill out. You can do this for up to 6 classes. I'm only teaching 2 classes, so I filled out this stuff. What's required is stuff with asterisks. There's not that much really. Your name, the year, the month, and that's a pull down. The name of your class and the hours. The rest of this is optional. This is an overview of the status of all your classes, and you'll see more of that in the future. If we go back to the instructions, Step 2 says to go to the data sheets. So once you've filled into the year-to-date summary, then you go to the data sheets. So let's do that. Here's Class 1. You can see there are a lot of shaded in squares here because this is where you will be entering almost all of the data for your students. You have student names, the name of the class, which comes from the information you filled out on the year-to-date summary page, the name of the students, and a lot of information that you can enter for your students. Over here is some summaries. For example, total number of hours for your students and what their levels are and some gains calculations. And all of this information is referred to in the reports. So here's Pascalville, my first class. Here's Independence, my second class. Class 3, I don't have any students, and so forth. Now, in addition to the year-to-date summary, which is an overview of all of your classes, there's Successes, which is an overview of all of your classes, and it's really just somewhere you can type in information to include in your report to your manager. So year-to-date summary and Successes, they travel together, so they're the same color. And then here we have Assessment and Attendance. Now last year these two were included on a single page, but we needed more room, so we broke them up into 2 pieces. So Assessment is here. This information, don't type, it's all white, but it is read from your Class 1 through Class 6 pages. And then Attendance is here. So same students, this is my Independence ESL class. Here's assessment for them and attendance. And the purple ones are for you, the teacher. There's contact information. I don't actually have any contact information, but I do have some notes. And a report for individual students. So here's you can type in part of a student name and you get information for that one student in a nice little summary that you can print out. So all of these pages, the multicolored ones, are formatted for printing out. So if I say print preview, you can see it's a nice tidy report ready to go. And that's the same for all of these other reports as well. So they do calculations and they format things. What's nice about this organization is if you think of some other way that you want to report information about your classes, we can always make another report that will just read this information. So as a convenience for you, the teacher, you should only ever have to enter information about your student one time, your student's name, their enrollment date, etc. Then all of the reports refer to this information and do the calculations that are necessary. So that's an overview of the data reporting spreadsheet. After you've entered the data for your students, you might want to go back to the year-to-date summary and see what you get here on these reports and make sure it's sane. If something doesn't look right, for example, I look here and I see I have 14 new students but only 13 are pre-tested. I would go back to that data and try to understand, oh yes, this student needs to be tested again, or actually referred to another class, but this student really shouldn't be listed on my new students list. So that's it. In the next video, we'll go into a lot more detail about how to enter the information and so forth.